Hey guys, it's Miharu. So it's that time again to talk about the dragon formerly known as the Terror of the Skies, Cynder. Now, I'm no stranger to this particular discussion. In 2021, I made a video discussing how she could potentially make a comeback in a future game, and even back in 2018, I was asking how she could make an appearance in Reignited, though that was more about her being a reskin than her own character. Today, I not only wanted to reiterate what I've said in those previous videos, but also tie it to what little information we have about A Realm Beyond. So let's get started. Now, before we get into the details of how she could be implemented, I think there's a more important question we must ask ourselves. Is it possible for her to be in this game at all? In recent interviews, Toys for Bob has stated that they're very much aiming to recapture the feel of the classic series, minus some of the minigames. Their goal is to inspire their audience by evoking a sense of nostalgia. When asked about if any Skylanders-related aspects will be making their way into A Realm Beyond, Paul Yan gave a very clear answer. Classic Spyro and Skylanders are different universes. They want to keep them separate. So, what does that mean for Legend? Does the same thing apply? Well, I personally don't think so. Legend of Spyro, despite being a reboot, still very much carries the Spyro brand and is part of the same franchise, which Toys for Bob said they'll be looking at and pulling from as a whole. As such, I believe it's perfectly plausible for Cynder to make an appearance. However, just because it's a possibility does not mean it will happen. Something we know for sure is that Spyro will be making new allies. So far, this has been our biggest hint toward her comeback. But we also need to consider the fact that classic characters such as Hunter, Bianca, and Elora, the latter of whom hasn't appeared in the Spyro series since Year of the Dragon, need room to be included as well. It would be quite disappointing if a game aiming to evoke nostalgic feelings were to omit them. So while the prospect of new characters is exciting and necessary to move things forward, I truly hope they don't end up overshadowing the established ones. After all, one of the most crucial aspects is maintaining the focus on Spyro himself. We can't just have a multitude of characters merely occupying space in the narrative. Too many cooks in the kitchen. This leads me to my next point. Cynder is an incredibly beloved character in this franchise, effectively changing it forever upon her debut in 2006, and one of the most highly requested to make a return. The impact she had on the series was truly remarkable, and this connects to my previous point about not diverting focus from Spyro. If Cynder is included in this game, it would mark her introduction into the classic timeline. Therefore, in my opinion, her presence should be meaningful and purposeful. Now, this isn't to say a good character arc can't be done within a small window of time. In fact, that's one of the reasons I love Bianca so much, as she went from antagonist to ally in what is a very short game by today's standards. But what Cynder was and is has already been established. She had a compelling backstory, a distinct personality, and she served a vital function in being your co-op partner. If she can't fulfill a similar role here, then what would be the reason for her inclusion at all? It would feel pretty disingenuous to put her in the game but not deliver on the quality we expect from an arc like hers. But let's put all of that aside for a moment and assume she will be included. What would her allegiance be at the start? Friend or foe? I expect many of you would say the latter. After all, every iteration of Cynder so far, whether it's the original, Skylanders comics, or Academy version, has started off evil or at least had some connection to a villain, which in all these cases was Malefor. As of now, the identity of our main bad guy, the supposed leader of the Scavs, remains unknown. It could be a brand new character, or based on Malefor, or the Sorcerer, and some have even suggested it could be Cynder herself. Regardless, she's always been linked to the darkness, so we would expect her story here to reflect that. Herein lies the problem, though. This has been done before. I understand it's kind of what makes Cynder who she is, but if the goal of the game is to introduce fresh and exciting elements, rehashing the same old ideas doesn't seem like the most effective approach. So what about as an ally? Well, it worked for Skylanders Academy, but let's say in this scenario there's no evil family history. She's just a new friend who wants to aid Spyro on his quest. Maybe she's stranded in this world just like he is, and they have to help each other get back home. Maybe she came from a faraway land and decided not to leave because the inhabitants here needed her. Or maybe, and this is probably the most interesting idea, she's an anti-hero with her own agenda. That could be a great way to have the two work together while also retaining some of the darker aspects of her character. Give her a mysterious past that doesn't necessarily have to be explored in full. Something that can be implied and pieced together by little lore tidbits acquired throughout the course of the game. Something to make her stand out, but doesn't take the focus off of Spyro. Cynder is to Spyro what Crystal is to Star Fox. Let's be honest, Toys for Bob would be crazy not to take advantage of her popularity. But they've also made it clear they want to set expectations for future installments. So even if we don't get her here, it doesn't mean she's been ruled out entirely. Only time will tell when a new beginning will come for our favorite female dragon. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment below and let me know. Special thanks to my high tier members, Agent Quasar, CB Puppets, Dr. Zugerdor, Evil the Sackboy, Katie the Rabbit, Liquid Ferret, Musa Scafato, Mutant Eye, Nuclear Crowd, Solid Sig, Stripe on Tail, Tanner Dakota, Video Nut Gaming, Von Bob, and Wolfie Wolfenheimer. As always, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more casual gaming content, and I will see you next time. Until then, this is Miharu, signing off.